Hey, amazing people. What we're going to do today is we're going to look at trigonometric ratios. Now, one thing we need to remember when we're dealing with these ratios is that primarily we're dealing with right angle triangles. Now, one of the first things we need to do when we're dealing with right angle triangles is we need to be able to identify the various sides of a triangle. Now, here we've got a right angle triangle and we've got one of the angles which I've just called theta in this instance. Now, the sides we need to identify is the hypotenuse, the opposite, and the adjacent. Now, the first one to show here is the hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse side is always the one which is across from where the right angle is located. So with the right angle over here, it's located across from that. The next angles to deal with are the opposite and the adjacent. Now, in first instance, we'll deal with the opposite. The opposite angle is always going to be where you have an angle in a triangle. In this case, it's this theta here, which we're dealing with. And so we want to identify what's opposite that. So if we were to go opposite that, that is going to be this side on the right here. So therefore, this over here is going to be our opposite side in this triangle. Lastly, it leaves the adjacent. Now, obviously, this is going to be the side down the bottom because there's only one left, but the reason it is adjacent means next to. So you can see here that we've got the angle here, and right next to it is where the adjacent side is. So that's why that's identified as the adjacent. Now, the key parts to remember here can often be remembered by using the mnemonic, and this is SOHCAHTOA. So we've got SO, KA, and TOA in remembering each of these angles. So the first one of these is SO. So what this is saying is we're going to have sine theta, so that's where we're identifying the angle, and the O and the H then are representing the opposite and the adjacent sides. So this can be represented simply as O over H for opposite and adjacent. The next one to deal with is Ka. So this is C, that's going to be using cosine. So that's going to be cos theta. And this is going to be adjacent over the hypotenuse side. So this is going to be A over H. Lastly, we have TOA. This is going to represent tan, so tan theta. So we're going to have tan theta, and this is going to be represented by opposite over the adjacent.